Greetings, friends, and welcome to my Friday reflection time. Last night, the task force created by the steering team to evaluate what we need to do and have in place when we resume in-person worship met via Zoom. To remind you, the task force members are Carrie Holmes, J.D. Hoskins, John Moyle, Marilyn Weaver, Jeanette Wiley, and myself. I want to start with some terminology. The task force is being called Reopen Task Force. I want to repeat, Shepherd of the Hills is not closed. Our building has been closed to the public, but our ministry continues with great generosity. Our worship hasn't ceased either. We've just moved from one style of worship to a virtual platform. When we talk about reopening, we really mean when gatherings of God's people in one place, our worship space, our building, our facilities, will resume. I also would suggest that when we resume worship, we'll also be able to talk about the small groups that we have and all of the other groups that meet here in our facility and gather. Now back to last night. The first thing we did was to check in and see what we all knew about the recommended guidelines for churches in Solano County and how we can resume gatherings. John gave us details of what he had read in the California Department of Public Health publication. JD had forwarded to us materials from Christianity Today, a well-respected monthly publication, and the Center for Disease Control. Some of us had read it, and I'll admit I wasn't one of those who had. I've taken the time to glance through it this morning, and I'll look at it more carefully this evening. What we discovered is that there is a lot of material to digest. That shouldn't surprise anyone. But to be honest, I'm not sure how many of us have really thought about the process of this reopening. I know that back in March, we suspended all activity rather quickly, an email and mailed letter to everyone announcing that immediately we were suspending all gatherings. We will not be so quick to resume these gatherings. There is simply a lot of material and guidelines to process. We have set no date for resumption of in-person worship. We can't do that as a task force. We, the task force, will present a recommendation or recommendations to the steering team for their action. It was the decision of the steering team to suspend, so it will also be the steering team who will decide when we can resume our community life. So let me share a little bit of the action we took last night. We are currently drafting a letter explaining all that we know about the guidelines for resuming our gathered life, which should be distributed midway through next week. We also committed to develop a general survey for you to complete. We are interested in knowing, for example, how many in the congregation are participating in our Sunday worship, either on Facebook or on the YouTube channel. How many are able to be online? And how many of us are, in my words, drifting through the wilderness with just a bulletin? There will be other questions we're wanting to ask, but since that survey hasn't been completed yet, I can't give you any more, but I ask you to watch for it. When you do get the letter, either email or snail mail, please read it and respond as soon as you can. I ask that because we have set another meeting for the task force for Thursday, June 11th. We are eager to have your input as we continue to discern the future of our worship life. I also want to offer you a personal opinion. This is me speaking. I expect that we will continue to broadcast our services for the foreseeable future. In part because I believe that it will take time for all of us to feel comfortable to return or be able to return to worship here at 580 Trinity Drive. Those of you who have those nasty underlying health conditions will likely be unwilling to put yourself at risk. I fully understand and I accept that. Some will also have deep concerns about fears of gathering in groups for some time. I also understand and accept that reality as well. I have also been overjoyed that our Sunday worshipers tune in from places in Northern California like Sacramento, Weimar, Napa, Pleasanton, Valley Springs, Vallejo, as well as Southern California, Oregon, Vermont, New Hampshire, and even Italy. We're now pretty far stretching. And our Sunday attendance has consistently been more than any Easter Sunday that I can find a record for. I understand people are wanting an opportunity to worship, and our service must be hitting a note for them. We have indeed become a worldwide worshiping community. Some of our own local members have asked that we continue to broadcast for those times when they're away from home, I guess, not just wanting to sit at home and not get dressed. Realizing that we are meeting a need, I've begun a conversation with Jesse Alice about upgrading our equipment. In the not too distant future, the iPad that is normally used will not be good enough. In fact, maybe not even now it's good enough. And we must locate a camera with the ability to broadcast live. I also learned this morning that another participant in our congregational life may have an ability to connect Facebook and YouTube so that we might be able to accomplish the two platforms at the same time. This would be a great asset, as now it takes more than an hour to upload our worship service on YouTube. If only we had enough subscribers that we could actually go live on YouTube as well. So many changes as we settle into this new norm. So many new opportunities for us to enjoy as we move forward into a new way of doing life and ministry. Also, this Sunday is Pentecost Sunday. And it's a time when we all wore red clothing to celebrate the coming of the Holy Spirit in days of long gone. When you gather with us for worship on Sunday, I'd ask that you would continue that tradition. Dress in red. As you can see behind me, the paraments have already been changed to red. Thank you, Deb Murky, for doing that this afternoon. When you gather for worship with us on Sunday wearing your red, please take a picture of yourself. Everybody who's in the room in the worship space with you in your places, and email it to the church office. That's SOH580@sbcglobal.net. Or just click back onto the bulletin and forward the picture. I want to do something with them, and I'm going to leave that as a surprise. The Spirit will move you and me to do something. So I look forward to seeing you on Sunday as we say happy birthday to the Christian church when the Spirit comes and rests upon us once more. And of course, remember to wash those hands 20 seconds at a time, a couple of times a day. Put on hand lotion afterwards so you get them nice and smooth and comfortable. Stay home, of course, if you are sick. Love one another. Practice the important social distancing. Stay 6 feet away from everybody else. Family members, get together. And of course, as Sergeant Esterhaus sends us out for our weekend gathering and life together, be careful out there.